Hey y'all, Rambeling Rich here. Welcome back to another edition of Rambeling Rich, where I just start talking about stuff and then ramble on and till usually my wife comes home and I have to stop videoing. To be honest, that's exactly what happens. So when you see my videos end abruptly, that's the reason why. But anyway, welcome back to another episode of Ramblin' Rich. Last time I was talking about my jobs and got all the way up to Lockheed Martin. I was into the two different types of radar that we worked on out there. And basically, I explained those two types of radar: the SAR and the FOPIN. Shit, they probably got SAR 2, 3, 4. Who knows what's going on with that now? This was all back in the early 1999, about that time, early 2000s. So I'm sure the technology has improved in the 20 years. Anyway, after Lockheed Martin, which was an awesome job, and I tell you about where I would have to keep the stuff going, keep the shred bin going while I'm trying to read top secret documents and just learning all sorts of stuff. Anyway, after Lockheed Martin, I went to work still with Wackenhut, but it was over in Microchip, over in Chandler. Microchip. It's that computer company that makes microchips, obviously. And at the time over there, the new technology was RFID. Now it's everywhere, and I'm sure they're doing quite well now. But the cool thing at Microchip happened is, and the reason I left the job over there at Lockheed Martin, which was really close to my house, like a mile and a half away in Goodyear, to travel all the way over to Chandler from Avondale. It was an hour commute easy every day. But remember, I'm on my bike, man, so I don't mind the commute. In fact, I love it, especially here in Arizona. It doesn't snow, weather's always nice. Riding your bike is year round. You got to wear your leathers in the winter and nothing in the summer. No helmet law. Arizona's awesome. But back to Microchip, what I initially got hired on over there for was they were looking for someone to set up their command center. And since I worked as a control room operator out of Genentech for many years, I applied for that position, used that as my experience, because at Genentech we initially didn't have a command center. So we set up our initial command center over in Building 7. And that worked out pretty well. If I edit this, I'll throw up pictures of that command center. You know what? As I'm talking about stuff like that, I tried to edit it before. I couldn't figure out how to put the pictures in here. I'm gonna have to upgrade my software, I think, or whatever. Anyway, at Microchip, that's the reason I went to Microchip. Kind of stepped on a few toes when I went over there because I went in there right as a not as the supervisor, because that was the Lieutenant Law, but as a sergeant. So I was right under the supervisor. I was the shift supervisor, but Lieutenant Law was over the whole site. At that point, we didn't have an acting captain. They were still looking for one. And I was hoping that after I finished the command center, got that all set up, that I would slide right into that position. Lieutenant Law was a 26-year-old kid. Slightly balding guy at 26, so he had a little chip on his shoulder. But he was a really, really kind of a cool dude. And I enjoyed working for him. You know, when an older guy comes in and you're working for a younger guy, the younger guy always tries to, push your buttons and see, kind of, basically like you would always say, lay down the law. Because, with the last name of Law, who's not going to use that to their advantage? I know I would. But yeah, that's, and he was a little cocky guy, but we all are, especially if you're in security. He was ex-military, all that good stuff. So, it's It's understandable. And I don't blame the kid for it. I mean, we're all cocky. I'm the same way, exactly. So you always seem to dislike the things about the things you see in other people are usually the things about yourself. You know, such as you hate tailgaters, you're probably a tailgater. You hate fucking speeders, you're probably a speeder. So that kind of thing. And microchip, that was the cool thing for me, is I got in there, I got my sergeant stripes, and it was a little kind of a boost. I was the command center guy, and then once I got the command center all set up and everything, came the promotion time. Well, at the time, we still didn't have a captain, and I thought, oh, they're like, oh, Rich, yeah, you finished the command center, we're going to need somebody to run that, and you're the obvious choice. I'm like, cool. So they pull me in, they tell me, yeah, you get promoted. Here's your lieutenant bars. And I'm like, but that makes me equal to Lieutenant Law out there. And he's like, yeah, now you guys are peers. You run the command center, he runs the perimeter and the guards, the lobbies, you know, the different lobbies out there. So Lieutenant Law is in charge of the lobbies. We still have no captain, and we're both reporting to the Director Vice President of Microchip, Security Department of Microchip. So me and that guy, I can't remember his name right offhand, but we kind of got along as well. He was a Pontiac guy. He was into GTOs. I was into Firebird Trans Ams. So it worked out pretty well. We did get along, and that was our common meeting ground. Whenever out of work, or whenever he would drive his GTO on occasion, and I was sitting in the parking lot, I'd always have to go by his office and say, "Hey, drove the GTO today. Nice ride," you know, that kind of stuff. And you always appreciate those types of things. And it was he really did have a nice GTO. And then whenever I would drive my Trans Am, I would drive the gold one out there at that time. I would park next to him, so whenever he came out to leave for the day, he would see my Trans Am parked there, and he would always tell me the next day, "Oh, I saw your car there." And I was like, yeah. So we had that in common, which strengthened our bond and everything, and which eventually kind of got me promoted to the captain position out there. Lieutenant Law left. There was still no captain, and so the obvious choice was for me to become captain of and just assume the Lieutenant Law's position and incorporate that into the command center. So basically, I moved my office from the command center out to Lieutenant Law's desk in the lobby areas. So I was still in charge of running the command center. The lady I actually had in charge of the command center, awesome chick. She was a really good officer. Her husband was an ex-firefighter. Her and I were in the command center together during 9/11, during those attacks. And her husband being a firefighter, man, we really felt for those firefighters and first responders that were rushing into that. And we were one of the few people at that time, because I had a TV in the command center, that were actually watching the news and stuff as it happened. Most of the officers and other people in the company were gathered around the TVs. But my guards, they couldn't leave their post. They had to stay out there and just listen to it on the radio. And that was pretty much the most traumatic thing that happened while I was out there at Microchip. After Microchip, what happened was... So I had gotten promoted up to captain, and I was captain for probably maybe 6 months. Maybe not even really 6 months. Maybe like 5.5 months, almost 6 months, and then Wackenhut got bought out by Securitas. Securitas actually came in about that time, early 2000s, and they came into Arizona, bought up all of the security companies they could. All the little mom and pop stores, all the little fly-by-night security companies, they came in, swooped up, bought everything. And the big ones too. Wackenhut barely escaped with their government services. They had incorporated everything else besides the government services for Wackenhut. Um, Burns is gone. APS, American Protective Service, those guys are gone. Uh, all those big security companies back in the day, Burns, I think I said that. Anyway, all those guys gone. Yeah, Securitas bought them up. Fucked up thing about that is when Securitas came in, everybody was busted down. They took away my captain bars. They actually before that it wasn't Wackenhut that I was working for. It was Pinkerton. Pinkerton was the people there at Microchip, so I was a Pinkerton man at that time. So I can add that to my repertoire, Pinkerton man, and that's my captain's shield. I think I have that handy. Damn it! I thought I had it. Thought I had it right here, kind of close. Then I can show it to you. Oh well. If I come across it, I'll flash it, show it to you. If not, I'll throw a picture of it up there if I'm editing this. But yeah, I didn't turn that shit in, man. I freaking pocketed that. Securitas is just going to throw all that Pinkerton shit away. So I kept all my awards. I had a Love Me Well. I had my plaques up on the wall there. I liked it there, man. Pinkerton was a pretty good company, actually. They were pretty good to me. They had good training. The USPN series was really good. That was carried over, started at Genentech, and then I actually asked them to bring that over as well to our company there at Microchip, and they had already had the whole series, so it was an easy transfer. I just asked for it. It was already there. Boom, instant. That's one of the things I really liked about Pinkerton. Their captains, you ask them for something, they're pretty much on top of it. They respect that and figure you know what you're asking for, and they help supply that. So I never had any real problems with Pinkerton, even in the upper echelon corporate side of that. After Microchip, I went to Intel for a few months. Securitas, we all transitioned to Securitas. Everybody was rotated out. You lost your job, you lost your position. Everybody starts off at the ground level and works their way back up. So, that left a really bad taste in my mouth, especially after working my way up from sergeant to lieutenant and then to captain, all within the course of a year and a half. I thought was awesome for my career. And then I get busted down to back to a regular guard, zero nothing officer. You know, yeah, left a bad taste in my mouth. And not only that, they rotated everybody, and you get the luck of the draw where you got posted. I got posted at Intel, which is even farther away down South Chandler, out on Ocotillo Boulevard or Road. It was out in the boonies at the time. Now it's pretty much incorporated, but at the time, early 2001, 2002, it was way out there. It was an hour and 20-minute commute from Avondale on my bike, one way. Then an hour and 20-minute commute back. So it was dark in the morning when I rode in. It was dark at night coming home in the winter. So Intel, Intel wasn't nothing like Microchip, I'll tell you that. And nothing like Genentech ever will be. They do have a cool facial recognition thing they're working on, which is called their Worldwide ID. And it's basically a 3D facial recognition. The secret behind their idea is a binocular camera, two separate cameras, capturing an image of your face like the human eye would. So it's a three-dimensional image captured by two different cameras looking at the same image. And that's the technology at the time behind their Worldwide ID facial recognition. They were the leaders of it at that time. Facial recognition wasn't even a thing back in 2001, 2002, so They were way ahead of their time. They were doing it to their employees, and that was their prototype or their pilot program. Part of that, I was part of that program whenever we first were initiated into the getting your card key photo is a by camera photograph. So you're actually, it's like a 3D image, and you're already part of the worldwide ID if you're an Intel employee. Some of the cool things I saw out there, same at Microchip. They build the actual wafer chips, and you get to see the actual silicone wafers. And at Microchip, they actually etch the computer circuitry onto the wafers, and it's amazing. I had a few of them around for a while, but to be honest, the microchips are so small. You know what? They get lost in the shuffle. So yeah, I don't have any of those left. They're not hard to come by, and you can find them readily. They're readily available. They're really nothing special, especially here where we have Intel Microchip right here in the valley. Let me see. After Intel, oh yeah, after Intel, the reason I left Intel, like I said, it was way over on the other side of the valley. So I got a job at an alarm company, Protection One. Downtown Phoenix. I think it was like 333 Central Avenue. So it's like right down Phoenix, downtown, about as downtown as you could get. Right on. I think it was on McDowell, and like 3 blocks off Central. So if you're familiar with Phoenix, that's downtown, man. I mean, that's way downtown. Anyway, working down there, it wasn't too bad of a place to work, except for those supervisors. She was a little overbearing, and I hate to be homophobic, I guess, and I've worked for both gay men and lesbian women as both supervisors and way upper management positions. I'm talking like directors, vice president, and I would interact with those people on a regular basis. So, and not only that, but I've had homosexual folks work for me, both gay, straight, and transgendered, all working for me at Genentech as well. In fact, I got great stories of the 2 gay guys that would be in the card access room. Whenever we hired the first gay guy, it was cool, but when we got both of them in there together, man, it was some of the conversations those dudes would have. I don't know if I could really repeat them here. Freaking hilarious, man. If you've ever heard me tell any of those stories about those 2 dudes, and I won't name any names but they were 2 awesome guys. I really enjoyed working with them, and they had me in stitches. Probably more comedy routine from those 2 guys in the 2 or 3 years that they worked together in there. And it wasn't that long, but man, I got more comedy routine from those 2 guys than anybody else that I've ever known in my entire life. Believe me, some of the things they said literally had me and my partners falling out of our chairs onto the ground, and that is no lie. That is no lie. And that was the Tootsie Roll story. If you ever heard me tell the Tootsie Roll story, then you know what I'm talking about. And that was the story that actually physically made me fall out of my chair laughing at so hard. Oh my gosh. Maybe I'll share it in a R-rated or X-rated version of the story. I'll take my shirt off so it'll be X-rated, something like that. But yeah. But anyway, back to this. At Protection One, I had my supervisor. She was a lesbian woman. But I don't know what it is about lesbian women. They seem to be very, very over compensating for their masculinity. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but it seems to be true. And you know what? I respect them both of those women, especially, I won't mention names, especially the one at Genentech, because she was in a very powerful position and she was very highly respected. Um, a leader in the security community as well as in her gay community as well. I'm sure. But anyway, I was working for this lesbian woman at Protection One, and like I said, she was very, very overbearing, and it seemed like she had it out for the dudes. The chicks could all play video game or little. It was a bowling game. Then they would challenge each other to bowl on this little app on our computers, and you would have it down in the corner of your computer screen, just like down the little, like down in the lower right hand corner or something like that down there, And so you'd be doing your work up here, and they'd be playing the game down there. And you know what? I seen it. Everybody's seen it. They were all doing it. Whenever I got in on it, and I downloaded the program onto my thing, and I tried to join their little group. I found out it was immediately the girls' club, and not basically. I hate to say it, but basically it was like the reverse of the He-Man Woman Haters Club. It was definitely a man hater environment, and you know what? I try to fit in with everybody I can, man. And you know what? I get along with a lot of people. Like I said, I have friends of all colors, all nationalities, transgendered. It doesn't matter. Old, young. I have old friends. I got some of the kids as friends. So I try to make friends with everybody. Actually, at drive time, I was dubbed the people pleaser, so that's what my secretary called me. And but we'll get into that here in a few minutes. But yeah, anyway, that at Protection One, I met a couple of really cool guys. There was a dude there that had a experimental Chevy S10, and his S10 had a big block 572 in it, and I didn't believe his ass. He was telling me about how, he's having this big block Chevy put into his Chevy Love pickup. You know what? My mom had a Chevy Love pickup, and I know I had a V6 in it. I know how much room is in that engine compartment. And I told him, I put a big block into a Camaro, a 454 into a Chevy Camaro. I took out the 350 small block, put it in a big block, and it was so big I couldn't put headers on it, couldn't put the hood, a stock hood on it. There's no way you're fitting a big block Chevrolet engine into that S10 engine bay. And goddamn it, he fucking drove it in one day, popped the hood, and I fucking saw this 572 CI engine inside this Chevy Love pickup. Looked underneath it with my flashlight. Went and got my flashlight out so I could look at it. Crawled underneath it, fucking fully plumbed. TH400 transmission hooked up to that thing. Short fucking drive shaft into a fucking big ass rear end. And yeah, that old man got a lot of respect from me after that. And after that, we became pretty good friends. And that's when I started asking him, like, man, how the fuck did you get that done? And it turned out that his son actually works for GM. And it was a one-off special project that they had done off. And we're going to do it. And it was a one-off from Chevy. And what they did is they took that one-off from Chevy and replicated it on his dad's truck. So some of the parts that were on that one-off Chevy, that they did the experimental or the prototype of that Chevy, some of the things they used, like I think it was like the cross member was a custom cross member. A couple of other pieces on there that had to actually tie into the frame or whatever that they took off of that actual prototype that were used on his truck. So that was kind of the cool little thing about that specific truck, that it was the only one there at the time. I'm sure it's been replicated many times now, but at the time, early 2000s, no, it was one of those things that you don't see a big block in a fucking S10. Nobody saw that shit at the time. But anyway, after Protection 1, I got a job at the bank, working for Bank 1. Um, that's where I started learning about bank security and things like that. Uh, I wasn't working at a bank like you would think. You say, "Oh, I work at bank security." I'm not the guy at the bank with the gun and the uniform, standing at the door, making sure people are coming in, being okay and stuff. Deterring robberies. What I do is on the command center side of it, corporate security. I monitored the alarms for Bank 1, the hold-up alarms. So at the bank, if you hit a hold-up button, it comes up on my screen. And I got that experience from not only Genentech and that control room environment, also from Microchip, a little bit at Intel. I was in their command center. I actually tried to get hired in-house with Intel, but they weren't having it, man. They didn't want anybody. They didn't want anybody. I told them, I showed them all my experience and whatnot, all my documentation, built myself up. But man, I was fucking slammed like you wouldn't believe. I don't know who they talked to or who badmouthed me, but it seemed like yeah, they didn't want anything to do with me. I was a regular guard out there, never moved up, never got anywhere. That's why I left. There was no chance of moving up, actually, especially in Securitas at that time. So, oh yeah, Bank 1. So, when you hit a hold-up button at a bank, generates an alarm. It doesn't go to the police like you would think. No, it comes to the alarm monitoring station. We called it the AML, alarm monitoring location. That was our keyword. Whenever I would call up the bank, that was kind of like my keyword. Hi, this is Richie with your AML, your alarm monitoring location, which is a key known phrase at Bank 1 during that time. So that was the key phrase. If I call up and you answer the phone at the bank, hi, this is Cindy at Bank 1. How can I help you? Then you go, this is Richie with Chase. This is Richie with Bank 1 Security, or this is Richie with your AML. Have you been robbed? I got a hold-up alarm. Have you been robbed? And depending on what they would say, yes or no, then I would respond appropriately. So that's 99% of the time what we do, answering not just bank robberies, hold-up alarms, but any alarm that come through. Say that the employee opened the door and forgot to disarm the alarm, is walking around inside. That alarm, we get those alarms too, so I'm calling the bank. Hey, this is Richie with your AML. You forgot to disarm. Can you disarm the alarm? Blah, blah, blah. And, go through the regular procedures that way. So bank security is really a whole nother entity from any other corporate security that I had ever done. It's a whole lot different from the hospital security that I started off at. It's a whole lot different from the strike force security. A whole different animal from just standing a guard, watching a hole, watching a wood pile, watching a building, or watching a construction site. A whole different thing from like out at Lockheed Martin, where I'm just document destruction, or walking tours, checking doors, pulling on gates, making sure things are secure, opening up doors and stuff for employees, like out at Genentech and stuff as well. Or even out at Microchip, where it was more industrial security, where there's pipes and fittings and chemicals and all sorts of things like that going on. So this different, and you know what? I love that shit. I love it. Different aspect of the same field. I'm gaining more and more experience and more knowledge of the security entity as a whole, and the only downside to that is Bank 1 never ever promoted other security entities. All my other career and everything, we all there's other security corporate entities like ASIS, the American Society for Industrial Security. There's Other certifications that you can get, like the CPO, which is the Certified Protection Officer course. There's also a CSS, a Certified Security Supervisor course. That's equivalent to college courses. I've taken both those, by the way. And those are all used to boost your career up the corporate command, up the corporate ladder in security. And at Bank One, they didn't recognize any of that. They didn't recognize hardly any of my accomplishments that I gone through, my whole security career to that point. Basically, when you come in there, you start off at the bottom again and try to work your way back up. And at that time, Bank One, we had, when I first started with Bank One, there were like maybe 5 operators on our shift. And two main supervisors, a manager and a supervisor and a manager. And the people on my team, all great guys, man. Some of these guys I am still friends with today. In fact, the boss that I used to work with at Bank One, my initial supervisor there, is now my manager. Is still my manager from 2002, 2003, when I first started working for Bank One. One of my coworkers there is now my manager that I worked for there. He's actually the one that trained me at Bank One, and he's now my manager. He actually just got promoted this year to that position, and he's been with the bank. He started off way back in the day. He's been with the banking business probably 23, 24, maybe 25 years by now. I've been there for 10, just with this corporation. But anyway, Bank One was a great place. It did get bought out by a larger banking company that I'm still working for. If you know it, you know it. I'm not gonna brag too much about that right now, because there are certain things about whenever you say you work for a bank, people think you have access to, especially in the security. Oh, can you give me the combination to the vault or to the safe? All right. First of all, I don't have access to any of that kind of stuff. Okay, so everything's compartmentalized. If you're in the banking or any security industry, people don't have that kind of access to those things, especially at a lower level, type position. So, because otherwise that would put you at risk. People would kidnap you, take you down there, have you unlock the bank at night. But the reason that shit doesn't happen, and it does happen, but as long as I've worked for the bank, I haven't heard it happening too many times. A handful, maybe less than 5 times that I personally know of, that any kind of kidnapping or heist, major heist like you see in the movies, something like that, it's gone down. To be honest, most bank robbers get less than $2,000 when they rob a fucking bank. And I'm being totally serious. If you get $1,000, you're lucky. You're real fucking lucky. If you get more than that, man, you are extremely lucky. And if you're one of those guys that go inside there and think you're gonna get $1 million, I got news for y'all. Banks don't got a fucking $1 million in there right now. You go to any of your little bank downtown, I don't care what it is, whatever your local branch is, you go into that vault, take all that fucking money. You ain't getting $1 million. There ain't $1 million there. I guarantee there ain't that much money there. You know how I know? Because they got armored car services. Duh. The armored car services come out there on a daily basis and they resupply them. They come out there and you know what? You're not getting that much money, all right? So, in fact, I will share a little thing, a story my trainer told me. First day on the job, and basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically it's like this. He's like, Richie, if you got a job here at bank security, to try to figure out how to rob a bank, or the weaknesses in the bank security, or how to circumvent the alarm system or procedures, or basically if I'm there casing the bank on how to rob it. He said, first of all, I'll tell you straight. First of all, don't rob a bank. He says, bank robbers are, number one, stupid. Okay? And this may sound like a cop-out and why you don't rob a bank, but this is exactly why you don't rob a bank. He says, you get more money if you rob a Safeway or an Albertsons, a Fry's, one of those big grocery stores. You go there on the 1st or the 15th, or on a Friday, especially a Friday on the 1st or the 15th, and they're going to have a whole lot more cash, and you're going to get robbed a bank. Not only that, but the reason you don't want to rob a bank, the number one reason you don't want to rob a bank is not only do you don't get that much money, contrary to popular belief. Number one reason, it's a federal fucking offense. Yeah. But, and that's what he said. If you rob okay, so get this. You rob a bank. If you're a serial bank robbery, so you're going to rob, say you're going to rob the Wells Fargo, the B of A, you're going to rob the credit union, boom, 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 boom. All right? So you're a serial bank robbery. The FBI is going to be coordinated. Those are all federally owned and federally backed institutions. All that money is insured by the federal government. So the FBI is involved. Secret Service is involved. And they all coordinate together. They all know, oh, this bank, in this bank, and this bank. They are kind of overseeing all of that. It's not just Bank One Security, Wells Fargo Security, Bank of America. No, the FBI encompasses all of that. Secret Service, they look at the big picture. That doesn't happen here at your you go over to a town, you rob their Safeway, the Albertsons. You go to another town, you rob that Safeway, you rob that Albertsons and the Fry's and the liquor store. You go to another town, you rob those stores again, or something equivalent. Those three towns, they're not working together because it's not backed by the federal government. It's got that one town police department looking into all three of those instances. It's got this other town police department looking into that stuff. It's got this other town doing it that way. They're not working together. They're not coordinating their information. They're only worried about their own little entities and their own little towns. You got to be smart if you're going to be a criminal. And basically, he was like, basically, if I was there to rob the bank or to case it or for a nefarious reason, man, that would have fucking convinced me to literally go not rob a bank and to actually go rob other entities or other stores. And that's basically the reason I'm sharing it now, is basically to deter any bank robbers, would-be bank robbers out there. Not that anybody's really going to be watching these fucking videos anyway, but if you are and you're robbing a bank or thinking about robbing a bank, please don't do it. Go rob a fucking grocery store on the 1st or the 15th. You'll get more money. All right, straight up. And in fact, if you don't believe me, why don't you go ask some bank robbers how much money they fucking got. Or in fact, do a little research on bank robberies and see how much money they get. It's not that much. Those big heists are completely completely way blown out of proportion. So, and if you think you're going to walk into there like they did in L.A. Back in the early '90s or late '90s, fully armored, just blasting away, obviously that didn't work either. So, to be honest, there's no good way to rob a bank. Go for those easier, softer targets. You got to fucking steal vault, man. You ain't getting in that thing, okay? You're not getting in. You're not going to tunnel in underneath like they do in the movies. That ain't all going to happen. That's way too much elaborate. Way too much, and like I said, you're not even going to get $1 million. You may get a few $100,000. You ain't getting $1 million. I guarantee you ain't getting $1 million. And I know that because when we have large cash withdrawal requests, is what the terminology is, they have to order all that cash. 100,000, yeah, they got to order it. See, they don't even have a fucking $100,000 in cash right there. They're expecting you to bring in that cash into them so that they can spend it back. And in fact, if you know anything about banking and you do any kind of research or anything, you know that banking is just a big scam. They're loaning your money that you put into your savings. This is why they want you to save money, straight up. I'm going to expose it right here. Banks want you to save money for one reason. Save money with our bank so we can load it out. You give us let's keep it simple. Give us $100. You put $100 in your bank, into your bank account, and we're saving that for you. We're going to loan out $1,000 for that $100 that we have here. We're going to loan out 10 times as much as that, because we're going to use your $1,000 that we have in there to loan out. And how do they do that? It's not real paper money that's exchanging hands. No, it's over the computer. How much do you need? 10,000? Boop, 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 boop. It's just numbers, digits. There's no real cash that's switching from one account to another. It's just imaginary money. And that's, I hate to say it, it's all imaginary. It's imaginary money swapping places. Only cash you have is what you have in your hand. That money you have in the bank, that $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, you ain't got that money. All you have is the money in your pocket right now, or how much money you got stashed in that safe at home, or how much stuff you have in your home, or even in your storage unit and stuff like that. That's what you have. Anything else, that money at the bank, that's digital. There's no cash there. There is no cash. You want to go get your cash, you better go pull all your money out and have it in cash at hand, if that's what you need. When the shit hits the fan, you go to pull your money out, there ain't going to be any cash. Oh, there is no cash. There is none. Why? Because I know they have to order it whenever somebody wants fucking $80,000 in cash to come out of their bank to go buy a house or a boat or whatever, you know. Nobody gets millions of dollars in cash. Hardly ever. 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 Very rare, you know. Even the large cash withdrawals I get are a couple $100,000, $300,000, you know, $500,000 at the most. Very rarely is it $1 million, $2 million, those kind of things. Never ever happens. That kind of money never is dealt in cash. It's all dealt digitally or, you know, offshore shit, stuff like that. But as far as banking security and stuff goes, I love it. I freaking love it. It's the best job ever, especially for me at my level. And I'm not a supervisor, and I'm not a team lead. I'm not anything. Whenever I left Microchip, and I got busted from the captain position back down to a regular officer, I kind of decided at that point that there's really no sense in being a supervisor. I'm not that kind of a control freak kind of guy, that I'm the kind of guy that has to be in control. I'm completely fine just being an Indian and not being a chief. I don't have to be the one to make those command decisions anymore. I don't have to be involved in all the big decisions or anything like that. And to be quite honest, it's quite a load off of the shoulders, especially at that time when I'm taking care of my parents and they're getting older, and my father's health was starting to fade. I didn't want to be in a position where I had a lot of real responsibility and beck and call. I didn't want to be on salary where I could be called up at any time and had to go in or be pulled away from something, family or whatever the case may be. I was more focusing on family orientation and my mom and my dad and my brother, my uncle. And as my parents were getting older, that became more of my concern, was to take care of them, to be there for them, rather than to be the company man, or to be the boss or the supervisor, or you know, I don't know if it more or less kind of like more like the fire went from a fire inside me to more of just a flicker. I think I lost a lot of the desire. I don't want to say it broke me. It didn't break me, but it did kind of knock me off of my pedestal, I would say, and made me realize that you know what, it's not any better up there. It's really not. I walked away from a $69,000 job in 1999 at Genentech to come to Arizona for my parents due to their health. And, you know, no regrets, really. I could have stayed out there and just sent them money, but to be honest, I'm kind of glad I left all that behind. And I think I really did make the right choice in moving out here and being with them. At least I got to be with my father up to the time that he passed. And my mom's still with us, so, and I'm with her. She lives right behind me here. She's 2 doors down. I could be over there in less than a minute, so I'm at her beck and call. If she needs me, I go over there. She's very independent, likes to stay that way. As far as my jobs go, I think I'm going to try to end this video right about here. It's a little over an hour long, but that takes us up almost to where we're currently at. I am still working for a bank. I am still doing alarm monitoring. Procedures have not changed. Like I said, I love it. I absolutely love my job. And the reason I love it is when I go in the morning, I start fresh. I'm in a position where I have no projects that I have pending, or nothing I'm working on that I have over an extended amount of time that I have to work on, or that I'm building or keeping track of. I'm not monitoring or tracking anything like that. When I go in the morning, I log into my computer, it's a fresh day. I start pulling alarms, answering phone calls, taking emergency calls and alarms. And every day is something new. Every day is different. There's enough repetition in the jobs. Burglary alarms, heat seismic alarms, late openings, early openings. Oh, I forgot to disarm. Oh, hey, I opened the safe door without disarming. Sorry. All that stuff, everyday occurrence. But then you also get the weird shit that happens. The slip and falls, the irate customers, the people that come in. I could do videos every day just on this kind of crap that I get every single day. People casing the place, employees with hurt feelings, people coming in yelling, spitting, screaming, beating up people, fights, fires, flooding, earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, all that stuff. I love it, man. Fucking love it. And at the end of the day, when I'm done with that, every alarm is a little different. You know, if it's just a simple open-close alarm, motion alarm, looked at the cameras, nothing seen, 2-3 minutes, doesn't make any difference, you know. Some alarms take, you know, a little longer. Hold-up alarms take a while. Some things are really quick. Boom, look at the camera, there's nobody there. What the hell? Somebody opened up their car door on an ATM. All you people with T-Rex arms, that's what we call you, T-Rex arms, because you roll up to the ATM, your little T-Rex arms can't reach outside the window to hit the buttons on the ATM, so you got to fucking open your door. And when you open your door, you hit the ATM. Yeah, whenever you do that, you cause a fucking alarm for me. And I get a heat seismic alarm is what I get from that drive-up ATM. I pull up the camera because I'm thinking somebody's breaking into this ATM. I pull up the camera and what it is, it's you out there. You're out there with your door open, leaning halfway out of your car, out your door like this. Oh, trying to punch up your code on your little onto the camera there. You want to know the view I see is this. That's the view I see from the camera there at the ATM. No, I'm just kidding. But I do have access to all that kind of stuff. The cameras at the ATMs and shit like that. Whenever an alarm goes off, it automatically pulls up the camera. So it's like a nothing deal. But yeah, security at the banks, dude. It's top notch. It's not Fort Knox like you would think, but it is top of the line security. It's always being upgraded. I mean, that is the one cool thing about being in a Fortune 500 company. And I've worked for plenty of them. You know, Revlon, Lockheed Martin, Genentech, Microchip, Intel. All those are Fortune 500 companies. I might be missing a couple of them in there. But the good thing about that is that Fortune 500 companies are always on the leading edge of technology. So we always have the best equipment, the best software. I kind of hate to say it, but to be totally 100% honest, Genentech, way ahead of its time. At Genentech, my keyboard on my computer was tied into my phone. I had a phone there with a phone keypad there, a computer keyboard, and the 10 keypad as well. So the touch keypad. So and that was my phone system. So if I got a call, it came in on the computer, and I would pick up the phone off of the computer keyboard. But there was a handset right there on the keyboard itself. And if I remember correctly, it was a Qualcomm phone system that we had utilizing those. And it wasn't just one. We had one on each side. Each computer station was that exact setup. And that's what we used. You know, when I dialed the number, I didn't have to dial the 7-digit numbers. I scrolled down and hit the button and then hit enter, and it would dial the number that was highlighted. And to be honest, we don't even have that at the company I work at presently. I'm still using an old Dell computer and regular standard keyboard and mouse. Nothing special. Specialized software, yes, but computer-wise, nothing like Genentech was, even today. So kudos to Genentech. I can't say enough about that company, man. If I could go back to work for any company in the world, it would be that company, if they would even have me back. Like I said, I'm part of the $1 Million Club. I showed that story before for the neutralization pit, and I'm probably on their no rehire list, or I got the red mark by my name not to rehire me or something. I've always wanted to call them up and do a human resources check. You know, I don't know if you know, but what I used to do is whenever I would get new guards in at Wackenhut, I would have to follow up and find out if their resume was actually correct, and I would call these companies and say, did this guy work for you during this date and time? Usually I would just ask for human resources and then give them the employee's name or their employee number that they provided, and ask them the dates and times that they worked there, and they would give me that information. I would match it up, make sure that they were telling the truth on their applications. Just another way that employers, they do follow up on the applications that you give them, so do not lie on your apps. People do call those companies, they do call those schools to see if you went there, so you really can't bullshit them unless they just don't look at it or just don't care about the information you're giving them. Me, I called on those guys, and I'd find out if they really worked for these companies like they said they did, during the times that they said they did. And it was all because you're trying to find out if this person is going to be a good employee, if he's telling the truth. I'm putting you in a position of a security where I expect you to be, you know, in a certain demeanor and frame of mind, respect law enforcement, have a certain code of ethics, I would say, about yourself. And if you're going to lie on an application, and I go to check it and I find out that you lied on that application, why would I hire you? I wouldn't. I'd hire the next person, and just move on from there. And it's happened many times. Many times the dates didn't match. Sometimes it was just a couple of weeks or a couple of days, and that's understandable. You know, dates and times shift. But if it was, he never worked there. I don't know who this person is. No, we have no record, and you're just blatantly lying. Then no, you don't lie on an application. Even a fucking security guard application, we check those. Well, especially for us, if you're going to be guarding a dirt pile, you need few extra bucks. Maybe those guys aren't going to check. You work for me, I'm checking. So, especially if I have access to that information. It went way over again, but at least this time I finally finished the jobs. I am still working for a bank, a major Fortune 500 bank, probably in your town. We're not in every state, but we are in most states. And if you're my family or my friends, we're probably in your state. You probably have seen us or even maybe have an account with us. To be honest, it doesn't matter to me if you bank with the bank that I work for or not. We make millions of bucks anyway. They're going to make their money with or without you. Some of the things I prove that they do, some of the things I don't. So I'm just an employee. So with that said, thanks for watching Rambeling Rich. Hit me up next time. I don't ever really get to end videos like this. They usually end really suddenly. Well, it's like, here comes my wife. I gotta go. So, but not tonight. You guys have a good night. Thanks for watching. And join me next time on Rambeling Rich. I don't know what I'll be talking about, but I'll be rambling. Thanks.